Okay, hi there. It's Dave from Consular Education. Just wanted to cover an issue that I've come across many times in supporting teachers. It's quite a common issue, and that is kids who coast in your lessons and how to manage that and how to long term prevent that from being the case. Um, so this is an issue that I have come across a lot. Coasting can happen in a range of different ways and it can present itself in different ways. So, for example, you might get perhaps students who choose to participate very little at all, say in group tasks. So you set a task for 4 kids at a table in a group, and 2 of them probably work diligently, and the other 2, maybe one of them does a little bit and the other one does nothing at all but takes some of the credit for it at the end. That happens quite a lot. You might have students who coast in terms of how they answer questions, and some will have scripts of "I don't know, miss, I don't know, sir, why are you always asking me?" So that the aim of those scripts is to train you as the teacher to start asking them questions, and frequently I see that happen. Teachers will avoid asking questions of certain students because they know they're always going to get the "I don't know, miss, I don't know, sir" response back. The likelihood of them not knowing, well, that's something that you will know better than me. But there's certainly be cases where they do know the answer, they just really don't want to put too much effort into it. Other kids will produce absolute minimal output in terms of written work, let's say, for example. So when you set them a task, they do enough just to scrape by, but actually they could probably do maybe 60% more than they've actually produced. So that's another example of how kids can sometimes choose to coast in your lessons. So now you might think, well, it's not the biggest behaviour issue I've got, but actually it potentially is a huge behaviour issue long term, and certainly for outcomes for children. And it is a behaviour issue in the sense that it is a behaviour that we want to change as behaviour managers. So let's think about how we manage the situation so that we reduce the likelihood of that course, and we alter that habit that some kids have gotten into of work avoidance. So let's look at the students who do the bare minimum in group work. Well, really that's something that you can solve very easily, and the easy way to do it is to ensure that everybody in the group has a specific task that they have to do, that you can then assess how much work they've done. um, so first of all, I would suggest that if you are grouping learners, that you keep it to a small number. If you have a group of 8, you're really not going to get that much work from more than 3 or 4 of them, apart from the most studious and diligent students. And of course, you're not watching this to solve any of the issues you've got with them, are you? So keep your groups smaller. I would say around about 4 is appropriate, and then give each student a task. So let's say you're looking at, English is my subject. Let's say you're looking at a piece of writing, and it might be that I'm going to ask one student to look at the use of similes and metaphors and keep a list there through the discussion. I'm going to ask one of them to look at what persuasive writing techniques have been used. I might ask somebody else to look at the use of adjectives and so on and so forth. I'm simplifying things, but you know what I'm saying. If I'm an art teacher and I've got students studying a piece of artwork, then I might be asking somebody to look at the elements around perspective, somebody to look at the elements of colour, somebody else is assessing technique, someone else might be looking at the painting techniques and style. So everybody has something to do. They're all accountable for something that can be specifically looked at and said, that was your bit, let's see what we've got. By doing that, that means that you are keeping everybody focused in, because nobody can just sit back thinking about Geordie Shore or whatever they've been watching the telly, and then just kind of nod and smile when the thing's done and act like they've actually put some effort in. So that's a really useful technique to use. And I would suggest also, if you have children who struggle with maintaining focus and attention, by giving them a specific task to do, and maybe, you know, before they start the task, just asking them to repeat back to you what their task is, so that you're sure they know what it is. That can really help with children who have issues around attention and focus. So that's again something you can think about. Where you've got kids who have those kind of stock responses, and I've seen it so many times in schools where a teacher will ask a question and a kid will say, "Don't know, miss, I'm not sure, I don't really know what you mean." And these things are just spouted again and again and again and again. And this is a script. It's, you know, we talk about how scripts are effective for us in achieving what we want. Kids use scripts too. So, you know, when you've got that going on, we need to solve that issue. So if I've got a student who is always responding to any questions I ask with, "I don't know, sir, I don't know, sir," then I've got a script ready of my own. My script would be, "Okay, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to discuss it with your partner there. I'm going to come back to you and I'll ask you again. Okay, I need an answer at that point. Thank you." And then I'll go off and ask my next question. I don't ask that same question I asked that student, bounce it to another student. I'm not going to do that, because that's letting them off easy. My job is to get as much out of these children as I can, and I'm letting them down if I let them believe that just saying, "I don't know, sir," is okay. It's not okay. All right. So I might use a script that says, "Okay, discuss it with your partner. I'll be back in a couple of minutes," and then I move on. It's likely actually that I'm not going to say a couple of minutes or 2 minutes. I'm going to say something like, "I'll come back to you in 1.5 minutes, or I'll come back to you in 3 minutes," because that's much more specific and it sounds like I'm going to do it, and I will ensure that I do it. Okay. Now, typically what will happen with that situation is eventually the students in the class will cotton on that if we say, "I don't know, sir," he just comes back to us later on. It's not worth a hassle. I might as well just answer in the first place. And we begin to change that habit of those kids who use that script for answering rather than actually answering the question. Then you've got those students who will do the absolute bare minimum. Okay, sometimes hardly anything at all, and they've produced this much writing in an entire lesson. It's not okay. So how do we deal with that? Well, let's say that I've given the task to the students. Everyone is working independently. I notice in one of the seats here that, let's say, John is not really working much. He's got his head in his hand. He's kind of looks like he might even be doodling. So first thing I'm going to do is not to say, "Why aren't you working, John?" Because when I say, "Why aren't you working, John?" lots of other people in the class will stop working to see what's going on. I don't want that. They're all working. Let's keep it that way. So it might be that I'll just say, "John, do you need my help with that?" Now, what that actually means to John in reality could be one of two things. I actually am genuinely offering help. Maybe he's confused. If he's not, then he knows that I'm on to him. Okay, so, "John, do you need my help with that?" is enough for most kids to kind of make them realize that I see what's going on, and they'll get on with the work. They'll refocus. Let's say that 3 minutes later I look across and John's still not working. My next step in this routine that I've got is to say, "John, just bring your work to me. Thanks, mate." John's going to get up out of his seat, come to me. I'm not going to go to him. He's going to get up, come to me, show me his book. I've got an opportunity there to either say, "I can help you with this," or, "John, this isn't good enough and you know it. Sit down, crack on with the work. You know what my expectation is. I know what you're capable of. I expect to get the best out of you." And away he goes. Now, it's given me that opportunity for one-to-one, which is powerful, but what it's also done is, over time, John and students like him will realise he's going to ask us once, and then the second time that he asks us, I've got to get up out of my seat, come across here, show me book. I don't really want to do that. I might as well just crack on. Okay, and by doing that, it means that I'm far more likely to get kids thinking ahead and making a better choice about their behaviour, because they think that I don't want to be there, I'll go that way instead. All I'm ever after is supporting kids to make the best behaviour choices they can. It's not about me scoring points, about me winning. That's not what it's about. It's about me ensuring that kids get into the habit of making better behaviour choices. Okay, so they're just a few little techniques, just in a quick whistle-stop tour of how to deal with those kids who are coursing in your classroom. There's lots of other things you can do, of course, and if there are specific issues, you can send me an email, you can ask me questions, and I'll always answer them. Feel free to click like and subscribe, of course. The Behaviour Ninja app link is below if you want to look at that. Classroom management app available on Android and Apple. And otherwise, hope that's been useful. Thanks very much for your time. I'll see you again soon.